Hello, hello. Sorry, I'm still having kind of weakness in my voice. If y'all remember, I've had laryngitis, so I'm getting there. But hi, everybody. I'm Maggie O with Homeschool with Maggie O, your homeschool mentor. Welcome to the first individual curriculum review in my new curriculum by subject series. I'm so excited to bring this to you. And today this evening, we're starting with math, and our first curriculum is Math UC. If you watched my introductory video about choosing a math curriculum this morning, you already know that I don't believe there is just one single best math curriculum for every child. You're not going to hear me say that here. That's not the purpose of this series. Instead, I believe we need to find the curriculum that best fits the individual learner and the parent in the homeschool family. So, throughout this series, I am going to take you directly inside different curriculum options. I'm going to show you what the companies themselves provide, how the curriculum works, and then help you think through what types of learners, homeschool philosophies, and families may find that particular curriculum to be a good fit. I'm not going to simply tell you that a curriculum is good, or bad. We're going to look at curriculum through what I call the curriculum fit lens. So keep that in mind. And I mean, typically curricula that I'm going to show you anyway, they're going to be, well made curriculums. I'm not usually not just off the cuff type stuff. So you can be rest assured that way. So today we're going to start with Math UC. I'm going to take you directly to their website and we're going to walk through that together. So let's get this up. Perfect. And you should be seeing that now. And this is the actual Math UC website. Um, and so you can tell already the math you see, it is a K through 12 curriculum, and it's published by Demi Learning. One thing you're going to notice immediately is their emphasis on building mathematical understanding rather than just simply memorizing steps. And as we move down this page, we're actually going to see several features that make the math you see different from many other math programs. So rather than just telling you what those features are, I'm going to actually walk you through them right here on their website so we can look at them together. And this is where I really want to begin evaluating this curriculum. Math UC identifies several things that make its approach distinctive. And that's what we're looking at here on the screen right now. And the first one is probably the feature most people associate with Math UC. Here we have the integrated manipulatives. And this is really where the Math UC comes into play. Math is an abstract subject. Some children can look at numbers and mathematical symbols on a page and understand fairly easily what those symbols represent. Other children need to actually see the mathematical relationship before the abstract numbers make sense. And that's where manipulatives can incredibly be helpful. Math UC uses manipulatives throughout the program to give students a concrete representation of mathematical concepts. So instead of simply telling a child that 7 plus 5 equals 12, for example, we're giving that child an opportunity to actually see and build quantities. The manipulatives are also not limited to the very early elementary years. The program continues using visual representations as mathematical concepts become more advanced. Excuse me. So, immediately as a homeschool parent, this tells me something about potential learner fit. If I had a child who was a very strong visual learner, I would take a closer look at this program. If I had a child who was hands-on or kinesthetic learner and needed to physically interact with a concept before understanding it, I would also put Matthew C on my research list. And if I had a child who struggled because math felt just too abstract, this would be a feature I would want to explore. Now, that doesn't automatically mean that every visual or hands on kinesthetic learner will love Matthew C. We're never going to make that assumption in this series that we're covering about curricula. But we're identifying curriculum features that may align particularly well with certain learners. So, if we continue down, we have the conceptual understanding on their page. And this next distinctive that they identify as conceptual understanding is another very important piece of the Matthew C approach. The goal isn't simply for the student to memorize a mathematical procedure, the goal is for the student to develop understanding of why the math works. Matthew C presents concepts in a logical sequence and uses a mastery approach. Now, let's talk about what that means. So, in a mastery based program, students spend concentrated time developing particular mathematical skills before they move forward into new material. And previously learned concepts, they're still reviewed, but the student has an opportunity to build a stronger understanding of a particular skill. This can be an excellent fit for certain learners. And some children become incredibly frustrated by math programs that seem to constantly jump from one subject to another or one topic to another. Monday, we're doing multiplication. Tuesdays, we're doing fraction. Wednesday, we're going to do geometry. And then we're back to multiplication. Some children thrive with that variety, and other children do not. They want to stay on a concept long enough to really fully understand it. And for that child, I would definitely consider exploring a mastery based program like Matthew C. On the other hand, if your child really needs constant variety and becomes bored when concentrating on one primary skill for a longer period of time, that's something I would consider as well. Remember, we're not asking whether mastery is better than spiral. We're asking which approach fits my child. And then we're going to come down in here into the simple design and take a look here. This section gives us a nice overview of what students and parents are actually going to be using. So you can see from here that instruction can include several different tools. There's videos and manipulatives, lesson practice worksheets, systemic review pages, and supplemental resources. This is another reason I see potential here for different types of learners. A visual learner has the manipulatives and video instruction. An auditory learner can hear concepts being explained through the instructional videos. A hands-on learner has the manipulatives, and students also have written practice throughout or through their worksheets that they have here. So this isn't a curriculum that relies exclusively on one method of instruction. So now something else I want parents to notice is the systematic review. Sometimes people hear mastery curriculum and assume that once a student completes a skill, they will never see it again. And that's not necessarily the case here. Matthew C concentrates on mastery while continuing to incorporate review of previously learned concepts. So you're getting that concentrated focus while still giving the student opportunities to revisit previous skills. Here we have the skill-based placement. And you heard me talk about that this morning. This is so important. It's a really important feature in different curriculums. and especially for homeschool parents. Matthew C uses, as you can see here, skill based placement rather than simply saying that my child is 8 years old, so I automatically buy the third grade book. And I really want to emphasize this because this is something I recommend whenever you're changing math curricula. Different math companies teach concepts in different sequences. So a child could be considered one level in one curriculum and place differently in another. That does not necessarily mean your child is ahead or it doesn't mean that they're behind. It means the curriculum is sequenced differently. Matthew C. wants students to begin according to their current level of mathematical mastery. And later in this tour here on their site, I'm going to show you where you can find their placement resources. But this is something I would absolutely recommend doing before purchasing. Don't guess based on solely an age or grade and use the placement resources. It's a valuable tool for you. So if we then can get over here to explore, let me go into here. We're going to do the Matthew C. Let's pull this up here and get into the curriculum. Um, and now we're coming to the actual programs that are available through Matthew C. The first is the complete Matthew C curriculum. And they talk about the mastery approach, like we were talking about. And I like it because they also have a four-step method where it's like the first step is preparation, the second step is presenting, third is practice, fourth is progression. And you can expand all these and look through these. Here we have this individual placement, which we'll get back to that in just a minute. But I wanted you to see this. As I said, it is a K through 12 curriculum, and each level concentrates on a particular mathematical skill while continuing to review and integrate previously learned concepts. And we will go back and look at some of the levels here in just a minute or in the placement. But one thing we'll go through this. I want to come back to one other spot here. Give me just a second. I had it right. Where did it go? Because it's really important as well. Um, well, I had it pulled up here. They have an advanced, um, here it is, the accelerated individualized mastery. This is important and otherwise known as AIM, the accelerated individualized mastery, known as AIM. And I just want to make sure that you see this. It's an important distinction here. This is not the regular math you see curriculum. This is a supplemental program. It's designed for students who have gaps in foundational math skills. So let's say you have an older child who has technically completed instruction in addition, subtraction, or multiplication, but those foundational skills were never truly mastered. Those gaps can make every new level of math increasingly difficult. So, a program like AIM is designed to help address those specific foundational gaps using Math UC strategies and manipulatives in a more accelerated format. So, if you have a struggling math learner, this is something I would be aware of and potentially investigate further. I would also emphasize that a curriculum or a supplemental program is not automatically a specialized intervention for every learning disability. So if your child has significant learning challenges, you may need still additional professional guidance. But for parents who know their child has foundational math gaps, this is certainly a resource worth knowing about, knowing that it exists. So going back, um, we're getting into the resources. And You can again peruse all of this on their website, which is just so wonderful. I love how easily navigationally this is. And the resources are another section I always recommend parents investigate before they purchase any type of curriculum. Don't just ask, what books am I buying? Ask, what support comes with this curriculum? And here, Matthew C. provides access to additional online resources. Um, they really do talk to the homeschooler. And let me show you. Let's see, where is that? Well, sometimes I get myself even lost in here a little bit. I had some things pulled up here so that here we go. The resources that you can come into. They have a digital toolbox. They have, here's the support area, resources by level, stewardship calculators, online drill tools, worksheet generator. I just love this section. It's really a good section for you to also be aware of. And you can create a free account and access sample lessons from the curriculum. And I strongly encourage you to use samples whenever a curriculum provides them. Before you spend your money, look inside, get a peek inside and watch a lesson, look at the worksheets, and let your child see the material too. And ask yourself, can I really realistically see us using this curriculum? Because something can sound perfect in a curriculum description and feel completely different once you actually see it. And then another area that they have here is the virtual area. And I am still, let's do this. The digital tools and virtual manipulatives. And these are really cool. I think these are great to go through as well. You'll be able to see what the Matthew C offers in the way of virtual manipulatives, and this gives students just another way to work visually with mathematical concepts. And you could even visit the digital toolbox and go through it as well, which is kind of cool. So, I mean, everything is very transparent. It's well laid out. Now, for a child who really needs to physically touch and manipulate something, I would still look closely at the physical manipulatives. But having a virtual option does add flexibility. And this can be particularly helpful when you're traveling or when you don't have the physical materials in front of you or when a child simply enjoys working digitally. And so finally, on the homepage also, we kind of touched, this is where I was, sorry, was the resources, and we reviewed that, and I encourage you to go through that. And then also this curriculum. So one thing I wanted you to notice, it doesn't say like first grade, second grade, third grade. It has it does a sequence. Primer is the first, and it tells you it's an introduction to mathematics. Alpha, in this one, they're going to focus on single digit addition and subtraction, beta, multiple digit, and so on. It goes all the way down. It does go into your pre-algebra. It's going to tell you exactly what the scope is going to be in sequence. The algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2, pre-cal, and calculus. And again, it's by mastery of a sequence of concepts. And the reason that this matters is because these levels are organized according or around mathematical skills rather than just simply assigning everything according to traditional grade level. And so I think this is important too. If you are coming into Math UC from another curriculum, I would not simply choose a level based on your child's age. And that brings us back to the placement that we talked about a few minutes ago that's important and that you can use and utilize this. And you can get into this individual placement and then you just click the green button and get started. And that's a very worthwhile time well spent. Um, what else did I want to mention to you? One thing that I want to also mention here because I think it's important that any curriculum that you use, and I think I've said this before, I may have mentioned it this morning. You don't want to force a child into a particular book simply because that's what the age says they should be. And you don't want to remain loyal to anything. If you see something that's not working and they're not responding well to it, you need to really feel empowered to pivot and try something else. The goal is to find the appropriate starting point for your child. In this case, if you're looking at Matthew C, we don't want a child placed so low that they're bored or too high that the foundational concepts, they just haven't mastered those. So those gaps have a way of showing up later. So if you're seriously considering Matthew C, placement it would be my first step. So I hope that you found that helpful. Um, Here we go. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now. So we've actually walked through the program. Let's put everything together with my Maggie O curriculum fit snapshot that I like to call it. And remember that I don't want to give curricula traditional star ratings because a 5-star curriculum for one child could be a terrible fit for another child. Instead, I want to help you identify who might want to take a closer look, in this case of Matthew C. So for Matthew C, a visual learner fit, strong. The manipulatives and the video instruction provide strong visual support. A hands-on learner fit, strong. The integrated manipulatives are one of the defining features of the program. Auditory support is available. Students can hear concepts explained through instructional videos. Mastery learner fit, very strong. This is one of the defining characteristics of the curriculum. Independent learning, moderate and dependent on age. The instructional videos can certainly support independence, particularly as students get older, but I would not automatically consider this a completely hands-off curriculum for the parent. Parent involvement is probably moderate to higher, particularly with younger students. Parents should expect to participate in the learning process, especially when presenting and exploring new concepts with young learners. Unique learner potential, definitely worth exploring. I would particularly investigate this curriculum for a child who benefits from concrete visual instruction or struggles when math feels too abstract. I would also investigate their AIM supplemental programs if an older student has significant gaps in foundational skills. You could really bring that together nicely for them. Homeschool philosophy flexibility is strong. I could see this fitting in eclectic homeschool very easily. It may also appeal to classical families who value strong foundational skills and logical progression. Some Charlotte Mason inspired families may appreciate the focus on understanding and the ability to keep lessons manageable. And traditional homeschool families may appreciate the structured sequence, practice, and review. It isn't necessarily tied to one particular homeschool philosophy. So, who would I put Matthew C on the research list for? I would take a closer look if I had a visual learner, if I had a hands on kinesthetic learner, a child who struggles with abstract math concepts, a student who likes to concentrate on a skill until it makes sense, a child who may have some gaps and benefit from skill based placement, or a homeschool parent who wants a structured curriculum with instructional support while still being actively involved. I would look more carefully before choosing it for a student who becomes bored very quickly with concentrated practice and strongly prefers frequent changes in topics. I would also consider other options if my primary goal was finding an almost completely hands off, fully independent online math program. And again, neither of those things make Matthew C a bad curriculum. It just simply comes back to fit. So, This was our look inside Matthew C. And I hope you can already see what I'm trying to accomplish with this curriculum series. It's not here to tell you this is the best math curriculum. I'm trying to give you more information and help you look at a curriculum and understand how does it teach? How does my child learn? Is this a good fit based off that? How much involvement does it require of me? Does it fit the homeschool we're trying to create? And can I realistically see this working for my family? Because the best curriculum isn't necessarily the one everybody else is talking about. It's the one that helps the child sitting right in front of you. So I'm Maggie O with Homeschool with Maggie O, your homeschool mentor. And I'll see you in the next curriculum review where we'll look inside another math program and see how completely different two excellent curriculum choices can be. Hope that was helpful. I'll see you next time. Happy homeschooling. Have a great evening.